Well, she tried. At least, she.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jamsis, your local clown, and like a true clown, I tried to make Ning Ning work in RTA for like 2 hours over the weekend, and it just wasn't happening. So we're just gonna be doing a equipment overview slash account review because a few people have asked for it, and I love talking about my terrible builds for whatever reason. And if you like what you hear and don't like what you see, please like and subscribe and all that self-show bullshit. But yeah, my ARA stats are currently censored because I'm still tweaking him, but it's going to be bad. Just trust me on that one. This is my Caesarea. She's nothing too special. She's got like decent overall stats. I don't use her too much, but she's workable. She works. She has a maxed already. She's 260 speed, so she can cut like my Peira or whatever. And she's a little bit bulkier than normal because I need her to tank a few counters sometimes. But other than that, nothing too special. Also, I do want to say, if you're expecting like 100 plus units built like Azalea or Mace, you should just click away. It's just not happening. Because I'm an aggro player with bad gear. Anyway, moving on. This is Mercedes. I don't really pick her too often. I got to put this like weird world championship ring on her, but she's really only a last ditch attempt to stop Steny and Landy with no debuffs. So I don't really pick her too often. She's not that pickable anyway, so like no big loss. Moving on to my aggro Politis. She's a bit tanky with some effectiveness. It catches some Senyas off guard, so there's that. And she's bulky enough to survive a few hits. And there's Crown to like RNG win. Because who doesn't love RNG winning? And it's because I don't have enough bucks. Moving on to the next unit. A unit that hasn't been seen in quite a while. But I think she's very important to have because she's one of the only few reliable answers I have against Sylvan Sage Vivian if Zahhak is banned. So, yeah, it's either her and Seaside Iseria. And she's usable against Senyas because she has decent effectiveness. And I think the lower bulk is okay because you don't see Apox too much anymore. So, like, there's less risk of her just dying to an Apox S3. And anyway, here's this terrorist unit. She's not the best built. Like, definitely, like, I would recommend that you put, like, Snow Crystal or something on her on counter set if you have the gear for it. But I personally use her for a mix of damage and to anchor in certain cleave compositions, like against Kayron, Carrot, and those kind of bruisers. Like she can solo the match by herself. And so I value the damage. If I mod everything, she could be at like 2.24k HP, so it's like a lot better. But my Peira again remains unchanged. I have been unable to roll for a crit chance neck or an effectiveness ring. So, yeah. But she's good. She still works. You just can't pick her first anymore, which is kind of sad. But, not the worst thing in the world. Oh, my Ida. Rip my Ida. She got so many downgrades. I find her a lot harder to use because, like, you can't first pick Conqueror Lilias or Peira or, like, those type of units. So she doesn't see that much use, but she is still a good bridge because if you just pick her, like if you just raw dog her into certain comps, she can still be very good because of her potential to manipulate CR with the pushback and the push up and the stun, which is also an important part. But yeah, this is my Diene. She also got a few downgrades. Like she's no longer as fast because like who is she contesting without the speed? She actually has like actual FRES this time around, so like there's that, but she's still kind of difficult to pick in today's meta, so but the gear's not bad. It's just her time in the meta has come to a standstill yet again. What can you do? This is my injury Alencia. It's not bad stats for a lot of free gear. I mostly pick her against a few tank down compositions who really get crippled by her injury, but I generally tend to try and aggro my way out of everything, so Not the most picked, but usable. Usable. With imprints and maxed RD, I think she caps around 23k HP, so that's better. This is my Copium Zahhak. It's a little bit different than a lot of the Zahhaks that you guys will see. He's not 300 speed. He's on the S3 resource reduction E because this is a hawk meant to bully standard players. You know, this is a hawk meant to bully Lionheart, Zermias, Arias, like resource people, and Adin. Most importantly, Adin, like another terrorist unit. But yeah, he doesn't need to be that fast. He doesn't even really need to press S2 either. So if people pick like Politis into my Zahhak, I'm like, bet. Like he wasn't pressing S2 anyway. So, but yeah, very valuable tool. Oh god, my Yulha. Oh no, her gear score actually is above 400, I think. So there's that, but her set is kind of sussy. I explain her build because nobody hits a Yulha. Nobody wants to hit a Yulha. So like her not being on counter set isn't too much of a loss because if they don't pick a lot of AoEs, and not a lot of people do, to be honest, like she's not gonna counter them. I think I value the Aureus over Elbrus so that she can actually like S3 first turn if your other units take like heavy hits, and there's value in that. And I wanted her to be a bit slower in case like there are a few units that you can S3 right off the bat, like Light Adin, because she only needs like 10k HP loss to actually be able to one-shot Adin back through a miss. So there's that. Oh god, another Copium unit. This is my Celine. If she had max imprint and max artifact, you know, she'd be at like 3.5k, 3.6k attack. So it'd look like a decent build, but you know, I am a poor, currently F2P player, so what can you do? I don't really pick her that often, but I could if I wanted to. It beat Kana once, so like there's that, you know. I think our most valuable asset is that she forces a couple of drafts and like having ER on a DPS unit, but like I didn't want to break the gear score. Here's my Weedred. He's finally like not A imprint anymore. He's finally SS imprint. It's a decent build overall. Like could be better. Like could be 240 at more damage, but like who picks Weedred in the age of Zeo? Nobody. Here comes Destina. You can tell that this is a very aggressively built Destina at the speed point, but it comes at the cost of other stats. Like she's a bit squishy and her ear is a bit lower, but most people don't know this. Like you have to like fight my Destina to know what kind of breakpoints she hits. And you know, if I max imprinter, she'll actually be at a decent ER point, so I'm like not mad at it, but nothing to write home about either, you know. I'm also debating on whether I want to Mola the S1, but like we'll see. I don't use her that much. Roana, another free unit kind of gear. Another free gear type of unit, like English. Because like half the time her whole existence is just to exist for S2. And that's it. But she's a bit difficult to use on squish units because she only heals the units if they survive. And aggro units don't like survive too much. So question mark. This is my Conqueror Lilias. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. She's taken a few hits. Like her effectiveness is a bit lower. She's not on coin anymore. But, you know, this lets me play her into more of a standard style, but I don't pick her too much. But she's fast enough to the point where she can, like, contest certain units. Like Zahhak, like Closer Charles, like most closers are not 300 speed. If you lose to those speed contests, just, like, lose. Complain about a cash game. It's what everyone on Netflix 7 does. This is my SC Arowell. Oh, you know, like, more free gear, but she honestly is, like, on a decent build. Like, she's a bit slow, but this Arowell does really well into Senyas because it has good ER to resist most Senyas, and it has enough effectiveness, especially with the buff, to strip and stun them back. And I mostly use her for anti-cleave anyway, so pretty decent. But I'll pick her up to like deny the pick from other people if they're picking like Golden Girls. And honestly, her build's not the worst. It just could be better. It's like a growth. It's like a theme in my builds. This is my very aggressive Adin. She has decent damage stats. Her gear was a little appropriated into Zeo, so that's why her gear is a bit worse than in my previous videos. I just don't bother giving her too much bulk because she just gets hit and dies. So like, what's the point of giving her gear score kingdom if she's just gonna get hit and die? You know, like, doesn't make too much sense. This is my commander Pavel. Oh, the build has changed a lot. I took off penetration build and just gave him better stats overall, because this build actually does more damage overall because it just has better stats. Rip the ER. It's also on Dux Noctis, so I have to be careful about how I draft him. But when he gets through, he like demolishes teams single-handedly, like as you guys all know. Nothing too surprising there, you know? But I don't pick him too often because he's a little bit cleave-oriented for my tastes. And moving on to Faithless Lidica, has not really seen much changes. I wish I could make her like 300 speed or like have good damage at this speed, but that gear just does not exist in my account as of right now. So I live within my means and memes. What can you do? She hits like a nice breakpoint of like 100 ER, 100 effectiveness. So she hits like most units with some ER, but you know, she wasn't gonna debuff dedicated resists anyway, so like no big loss there. Unironically, my highest gear score unit on my account right now at 425, Bruiser Watcher Shuri. He's designed to survive a Raw Dog Cidd S3 with Escort on, but I don't really race too often anymore, so he just kind of sits there. But in some matches, he's like very pickable. Like if my opponent picks one speed contest, I can pick like Cidd, Watcher, Zeo in my next few coming patches, and then my speed's covered. A Degen AOL, or it's not really Degen, but it's like Giga Effectiveness AOL to debuff dedicated cleansers. But she could honestly use a bit more F for that. And oop, her neck is actually non-reforged. Let me go fix that in a second. Oof. Anyway, you know, she's not the tankiest. She's not, you know, the highest F, but she works. She is able to debuff a few key units. Like some maids only go up to like 250, so you're left at like a 50-50 chance. Pretty good, honestly, for me. Oh god. I know some people are looking at this unit and going like, what is this? But hear me out. This is the meta of debuffers, in my opinion. There's a lot of like random debuffers running around, and Silverblade Aramintha is one of those. She self-pushes, and she does decent damage without building damage due to her burns. I'm like contemplating whether I give her Ida's artifact or Cursed Compass, but at around 250 with Cursed Compass, she'll be able to reliably stun most units in the game. Like if you run like a crazy like 350 ER maid, like good for you, fam. Like your gear scares me. But for most things, she works pretty well. It's just hard to draft her because like Edward, Lilibet, all that stuff. And here's an example of where you can use SBA, like a very, very niche use case where my opponent drafted no cleansers, but she's still a very fun unit to use. It's just her flaws are still there. Like she gets 15%ed, and that feels really bad, especially at this level of effectiveness. And she doesn't really have a play that doesn't involve debuffs. But when she works, pretty good, honestly. I'm just gonna poke Landy here and try to poke her down, but you will see that their units just slowly die one by one. And it's a pretty fun time, honestly. Like, but I would definitely not put your premium debuffer gear on her because she's kind of sussy. Like she has 3 debuffs that she needs to land to be useful. Like she needs to stun, and then she needs to land the 2 follow-up burns to be like a useful contributor in damage. And that's kind of a tall order. And she has no defensive utility outside of the stun, so kinda sketch. But she worked. She worked like really well. Like pop, 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 pop. Like how satisfying is that? Uh but yeah, my opponent inflicting mental damage. That's the benefit of builds like this. Like I'll test her a lot more in the coming weeks, but I'm pretty happy with what she is right now. Sylvan, Sage, Vivian, uh, she's kind of on a more aggressive build in terms of speed and damage, and her HP took a bit of a hit, but since Chatty gives a barrier at the beginning now, and since you like often run her with SC Arowell, I justified it. I don't pick her as often, but like still a very good 1v4 unit. My APOC unchanged, but mostly unpicked in this meta too. Mostly because of a unit we're about to see a few columns down. Oh no, we already saw her. Like mostly because of Light Aiden. Like she's been pushed out of the meta because of that. So, but she's still pickable if my opponent picks low damage options. So there's that. This is my Dilbert. If you're asking where her crit rate is, it's in the 4 missing imprints. But I'm mostly happy with where her stats are. Like I wish I had like 2.1k defense, a bit more speed, and a bit more crit damage, but like what are you gonna do with the gear that you have? She's on Durandal because I don't really have a better artifact to give her, but it's like pretty decent. It like makes up for her lack of speed. This is my aggressive hand guy. He might have changed a bit. Wish that hat was on an effectiveness set or a hit set, I guess. But pretty good. He's fast, he's tanky, and he has effectiveness to ruin the day of like Senyas and like random units that I want to strip. But he's hard to pick right now. Like the meta right now, there aren't a lot of good attack buffers. He's fallen from grace a bit due to all the units that are good into him, like Faithless Lidica, Winter, people just picking really aggressively, getting out tempoed, getting landied. But still a decent pocket pick against hard debuffers, so he remains geared. This is my Acid. Not the fastest, but he has a small perk of being able to close out games by himself due to Windrider and just having decent damage stats. Like, I wish his EE gave him something other than F, but what can you do? It makes him more reliable as a denier of other initiators with his S3 EE. I just haven't gone around to getting the correct one due to not having enough points, sadly, but the Gab EE honestly is not bad because it gives him a surprising amount of damage to kill more units and to keep going back into Windrider. This is my just look away. Oh my goodness. I don't pick her too much, but basically this BBK wants what this BBK aims to do is to have good damage stats at 0 speed but at 130 ER. So if people pick like Ran and stuff into you, you just ban their book and she resists like the Ida, the Ran strips, and then can one-shot them back. But it's kind of 50-50 right now at these stats. Like the gear is not optimized for it. There's too much speed. And yeah, if I turned all that speed into crit chance, it would be much better. But for now, what can you do? Here's Opsig with some proper gear. I just wish I had the max imprints in Guiding Light because I would push her to about 3.8k. And the Abyss speed gear just kind of gives her too much health. And if I mono that into flat attack, I think I would be able to hit 4k. But she's pickable. You just need an attack buff for her to kill most like really tanky units. And that's just kind of difficult in today's meta. But, you know, not bad. And oof at the ER. One of the cornerstone units in my account is my Specter Tenebria. You know, Dirty Feet Queen. We all love her. I switched her to a pen set and I'm really loving the change. With some of my common attack imprints, she's able to like raw dog S1, S3, and one-shot Destinas that aren't behind Escort. The gear score isn't the highest, and it's only at 415. But if I had better gear, I would definitely give it to her. And this is like, you've seen his gear, some damage, got better imprints. Wish I had more damage on him, but like, gear wear. But yeah, basically, if you count all the units in my favorite section, which is basically the units that are like geared for PvP purposes, it roughly accounts to... Wow, this is more than I actually thought. But it accounts to around like roughly 35 units, which is kind of a small pool, but that's just the nature of aggro, is that I have a few core units. And then I factor in a few units that counter my opponent's draft. Like, Kawerik got on geared. I'm thinking of gearing Roy. I tried this unit, terrible. I'm not even explaining what I was trying to do here, but like, oh. Ran ungeared. Flan ungeared. Flurry. My Landy's even on PvE gear because I don't have counter gear and I don't have a guiding light for her. So like, oof. What can you really do? LQ. Oh, wish I had the gear for her. Wish I had the gear for him. Farming gear for this guy. Oh no, not her. Like, she's kind of too non-meta. Stray's the Banshee slave right now. Ungeared him because he's kind of hard to use right now, and then he's someone I'm trying really hard to gear in the upcoming hunt buff event. I have around 500 leaf saved, and those are all going into Banshees. I would actually want to build her, but like no books, so like, oof. Arya, I also want to build Arya too. So like the 500 leaves from hunt buff, I'm hoping will be going into Arya and Rylet. But yes, thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys found it insightful. If you guys want like kind of how I break down and build aggro in the upcoming few videos, like let me know. Like I love sharing my bad ideas with the world. And as always, like thank you for watching to this point, and thank you for your support. I'll see you next time.